When you have an autistic child, doing some of even the little things can be tough. Well, this is a story about one of the best, worst days that I've ever had. Let's get into it. Hey, everybody, my name is Ben Blackman. This is the After Us Project. Thank you for joining me here today. So, I'm going to tell you just a little story. That's all this video is about. And I think we all have these stories, right? It's not just me. And the only reason I'm telling it or not telling any of these stories is because I think it's important for us to relate to each other. And so I just kind of want to tell you one of mine that I remember. And so before I do, though, please subscribe. Okay. I would love that if you did. It would be great. Help support the channel and everything. All right. So here's what happened. My son Evan, at the time, of course he's 19 now, but at the time he was 8, maybe 7, 8, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I was taking him to the grocery store, and for the most part, he can go to the grocery store. Now my son, I don't, just so you can get an idea, and I've talked about this before. He's a level 3. Okay, he's going to need care and support, and he can talk some, but communicating back and forth, that's not happening. And sometimes he'll have meltdowns and those kinds of things. And he really goes with the flow really well, though. That's one thing I can say. He's very good at that. But anyway, so I would take him to the grocery store, and I think this happens to a lot of us. And I'll talk more about this on another video, but where we kind of isolate ourselves by not taking our autistic child to the grocery store or out to eat or something, just because it's easier not to, right? And then once you're in that habit of not doing it, you just kind of continue to not do it, And anyway, this was one of the days I decided to take him to the grocery store, and we went in, and he was a little agitated going in, which is not uncommon. Necessarily, but he was a little agitated, and we go through the store and everything, and he's talking a lot, he's just being echolalic and just everything, and it's getting a little tense, okay, because I can, I'm probably projecting it on him, but I can feel this coming out. And he usually doesn't have like a big meltdown. He'd never had a big meltdown in a public place that I can remember before that, although I'm sure he did, but if he did, it was short-lived. Anyway, so we got all our stuff, we're ready to go, we're in the checkout line, and he's just talking louder and louder. He's crying, he's upset, he's just being loud. He won't calm down. I'm starting to sweat. I'm putting stuff on the, conveyor thing. The girls checking, running everything through. The cashier's checking everything out and putting it in the bags and stuff. And, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, can we go quicker? And we had quite a bit. Of course, we got a lot of groceries that day, right? It wasn't just a quick, in and out kind of thing. So we're, Evan's getting louder. I'm just, like, oh gosh, take it easy, buddy, and I get down at eye level with him, and I'm just talking to him very calmly and stuff. And then I get back up, and I guess I had put my debit card on the little tray or little thing, because I was going to put it into the machine or whatever. And Evan grabbed the card, and he stuck it in between this tiny hole between the cash register and the conveyor belt thing. And I mean, it's not like you can just reach in there and get it out. You can't get your hand in there. They had to come out with a screwdriver and just, get it out and stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And it's just taking forever. There's people behind us, and they're looking at us. And this time I am pouring sweat. I'm just pouring sweat, just trying to say, trying to get Evan to calm down and just doing the best that we can. Anyway, I mean, I think we all kind of know what that's like, or a lot of us do. And so finally, we get to the line. Our groceries in the buggy. I'm going outside. We're going to the car, and of course, Evan, he's calming down by this point. Of course, by the time we got outside. Anyway, this guy who was walking behind me, he goes, "Hey man," and I turned around. And it was this young guy. He was probably like 20 years old. He said, "Hey man, you're a good dad." And I lost it. I mean, I started crying. Not right in front of the guy, but I mean, I was just, I was just overwhelmed with that, and I think what I took away from that was is that other people, there's a lot of people who don't understand, right? I mean, we get that, right? There's a lot of people, they just don't get it. They're staring, they're doing whatever they're doing. I don't really care. That doesn't really bother me at all. Actually, it really never has. But there are a lot of people out there and who do get it, who are like, it's okay. And what I really took away from that was, the fact that he was like 20 years old, maybe not even that old, and he took the time to say that to me. He took the time to do that, and that changed the whole perspective of my day. And it's funny how those little things really add up, and that other people see that. And especially, I know people often complain or it seems like that, younger people, this, that, and the other thing. But fact is that right now it seems like, the younger generations are way more tolerant, accepting, and patient than I ever was. And it was really kind of nice to see that. And if I knew who his parents were, I'd tell them they did a good job. So anyway, that's my story, and that's what happened one day at the local grocery store. So anyway, if you have a story, love to hear it. Drop it in the comments, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.